In the glittering trap of late-night television, where smiles hide daggers and laughter often masks malice, Jimmy Kimmel thought he had the perfect target, 20-year-old Barron Trump. What began as a routine interview detonated into one of the most explosive moments in modern television when Kimmel ambushed the young man with a vicious demand for a live DNA test. But instead of crumbling, Barron Trump calmly dismantled the entire setup, exposed the strings, the preparation, and the agenda, leaving the veteran host sweating, stuttering, and utterly unmasked before a stunned nation. The studio lights burned hot and unforgiving as Barron Trump stepped onto the stage of Jimmy Kimmel Live. The audience erupted in a mix of applause and cheers, some chanting his name. At 20 years old, tall and composed, Barron carried himself with quiet confidence that belied his age. Jimmy Kimmel rose from behind his desk with his trademark wide grin, shaking the young man's hand firmly, as if they were old acquaintances. Barron settled into the guest chair, back straight, eyes steady under the glare of the cameras. Jimmy opened lightly, as hosts do. "Barron, man, it's great to have you here. You're 20 now. Most guys your age are worrying about college parties, but you're already navigating the public eye. How does that feel?" The audience chuckled. Barron offered a small nod and replied evenly, "It's different every day, Jimmy. Some mornings feel normal, others don't. You learn to adapt." The tone seemed friendly enough. Then, Jimmy's demeanor shifted. The playful smile vanished. He leaned forward, elbows on the desk, voice dropping to a heavier register. "Barron, let's cut through the small talk and get real. There have been rumors about your mother for years. So tell us, when are you planning to take a DNA test to prove who your real mother is and shut those questions down once and for all?" The question hit like a slap. Awkward laughs died instantly in the audience. The studio fell into shocked silence. Barron didn't flinch. He let the silence stretch, holding Jimmy's gaze. Then he leaned forward slightly, his voice calm, clear, and controlled. "I know exactly who my mother is," he said. "No test needed. Not now. Not ever." The words landed with quiet power. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Barron continued without raising his voice. "Let me ask you something, Jimmy. How much were you paid for this hit tonight? I read that article you wrote last month, the one where you said you'd do anything to damage the Trumps. Was this part of the arrangement?" Gasps swept the audience. A few claps broke out. One voice shouted, "Damn!" from the back. Jimmy's smile evaporated. His shoulders stiffened, and for the first time, the host looked visibly rattled. He tried to recover with a forced laugh. "Whoa, that's quite an accusation." But Barron wasn't finished. He stayed composed, radiating control. Jimmy reached dramatically under his desk and produced a thick manila folder. He waved it high like a trophy. "You want proof? It's right here. Lab reports, timelines, everything." He slapped pages onto the desk, reading selective lines in a theatrical voice. The audience watched in tense silence. Barron cut him off sharply, but still calmly. "Where did you get that folder, Jimmy? Who gave it to you? Those documents look cherry-picked. Real lab reports don't usually land in a comedian's hands like party favors. What's the actual source?" The tension skyrocketed. Jimmy froze momentarily. The crowd murmured louder. Barron pressed on. "You wave those papers around, but you won't name the source. That doesn't look like truth. That looks like a setup." Jimmy doubled down. "You know what? Let's settle this right now. We have a full DNA test kit backstage. We can do it live on air tonight. Swab your cheek, send it off, results in front of everyone. What do you say, Barron?" The audience gasped collectively. Cameras zoomed in tight on Barron's face, broadcasting every expression to millions. Barron remained perfectly still. The silence stretched. 10 seconds, 15, 20. Jimmy waited with raised eyebrows, expecting collapse. Finally, Barron spoke, his voice low and resolute. "No, I'm not doing any test on this stage for your entertainment. My father taught me years ago, never let people turn your family into a circus. Some things are private for a reason. My identity is not a rating stunt." He paused, then delivered a personal memory with disarming sincerity. "I remember being 10 years old, sitting on the floor with my mom building a Lego castle. She laughed at my terrible instructions and stayed with me for hours until we finished it. That's my mother. That's the woman who raised me. No swab, no folder, and no late-night show changes that bond. That memory is proof enough." The studio reacted strongly, some cheering, others whispering in shock. Jimmy's face tightened. Barron locked eyes with the host again. "You keep pushing this DNA story like it's your mission, so let's talk about the real motive. On March 12th, you tweeted that the only way to end the Trump era is to hit the family personally. 2 weeks later, you did a full segment attacking my father. This isn't curiosity, Jimmy. This is coordinated. How much outside pressure are you under? Be honest with the people watching. Murmurs turned electric as viewers checked their phones for the tweets. Jimmy's face flushed. He stammered, trying to laugh it off. Barron reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded document with an official seal. He held it up clearly for the cameras. This is a sworn affidavit from our family physician of 17 years. It's notarized. It confirms the medical records, the timeline, everything that matters, not some anonymous folder. Go ahead, read it on air. I dare you. Jimmy's hand hovered, then pulled back. Barron, wait. This is a comedy show, not a courtroom. You brought the folder. You brought the DNA talk. You started this. Barron replied relentlessly, but calmly. Now you want to run? Who called you before the show? Who sent that folder? The network? Political donors? Tell the audience. Sweat glistened on Jimmy's forehead. His confidence had crumbled. The audience split, cheers erupting on one side, boos and shouts on the other. The studio had become a battlefield. Barron gestured toward the middle rows. Since we're talking real evidence, there's someone here who knows the truth, he pointed. Dr. Michael Harland, our family physician for 17 years. Sir, would you please stand? A distinguished silver-haired man rose and walked confidently to the stage. Jimmy looked blindsided. Dr. Harland took position beside Barron. I delivered Barron, the doctor said authoritatively. I've treated him since birth. These rumors are malicious fabrications. He connected his phone to the studio screens and played a time-stamped video from the hospital room showing him with Melania and newborn Barron. The audience watched in stunned silence. The studio exploded. Cheers, boos, and chaos filled the air. Security shifted nervously. Jimmy tried to interrupt, but Barron stood tall beside the doctor. You ambushed me with anonymous claims. When real evidence and a real witness appear, you panic. Is this what late-night comedy has become? Attacking a 20-year-old with lies and then crumbling when truth shows up? You owe the audience an apology. The noise reached deafening levels. Jimmy slammed his hand on the desk. Enough. Roll the clip. A pre-recorded segment played featuring a so-called DNA expert making damaging claims. Jimmy sat back smugly at first. The moment it ended, Barron dismantled it point by point with laser focus. Your expert's timeline claim contradicts the hospital records Dr. Harland just showed. The suspicious gaps ignore the public birth announcement. That probability number is based on 0 real samples. This clip was prepared in advance. That's not journalism. It's premeditated. Barron rose to his feet, presence commanding. My dignity is not a punchline. The truth about my family is not your entertainment. I came here for a real conversation, and you turned it into a public execution. That's not comedy. That's cowardice. Thunderous applause erupted from much of the audience, mixed with furious counter-shouts. Chants of Barron's name clashed with boos. Jimmy stood halfway, pointing shakily. This is my show. His voice cracked. Sweat poured down his face. He looked small and defeated. Barron remained unshaken. We're done with this topic. My identity is not up for public debate. There's power in refusing to give people the reaction they want. He turned to Jimmy with one final question. If you truly believe those rumors, why not ask privately? Why wait for cameras and millions of viewers? Was it about truth or destroying me for ratings? Jimmy fumbled, pale and speechless. No smooth recovery came. Barron buttoned his jacket calmly, gave the audience a final nod, and walked off stage with his head high. Applause and chaos followed him. The once polished late-night king sat slumped, rattled, and exposed. What was meant to be another routine roast had become a defining moment. Barron Trump had entered as the quiet son and exited having defended his dignity with poise, truth, and unbreakable calm, proving that sometimes the most powerful response is refusing to play the game. The conversation and the questions it raised about media, motives, and decency had only just begun.